of our policy. I just didn't bring them to the meetings. I didn't know we were going to be discussing it. And the other copy is the federal regulation that we follow regarding that accident.
Well, that's great. That I'm reassured. And if there's the answer I'm hearing from our operations staff is that they are fully aware of these federal regulations and that we have copies of them and that our
Then I only have one more question. Were these tests done?
In this instance, it was not required.
It was not, because it's an FTA, safety-sensitive employees. We follow the FTA's drug and alcohol post-accident guidelines.
But the drug, it's very clear that you do
in this
one
case,
within so many hours, one within 32
This was not a mass
hours.
transit vehicle. Person driving it,
Wasn't it a Prius?
Mm-hmm.
And wasn't that issued to that
It's
employee?
a non-revenue service vehicle.
There's nothing in that
We
stipulation.
can,
Yes, it is.
I agree.
Yeah.
That this is going to go over the 3 minutes.
Well, and then
But we need to start discussing this and clarifying this for the sake of, the citizens and the taxpayers, that we are following a prescribed protocol, that we do so efficiently, that we don't budge. I don't know what the right word is, but just saying, oh, should be okay because it clearly wasn't his fault. We have to have a rule of law.
This is something that we can follow up outside this meeting.
Okay.
Any further general comments, Ken?
Mr. Chairman, relative to that, I'd just like to comment that our drug and alcohol policies are reviewed by the federal government when we go through federal audits. Mm-hmm. And they audit all of our all the requirements that we have to meet for receiving federal funding. And one of the big items is drug and alcohol policy. And that gets reviewed regularly by the feds.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Ken.
So that does encourage us to use this.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
is it Jeff or Jeffrey or Jerry?
Jerry.
Jerry, I'm all over the board. We have in our risk pool, I'm assuming, that there are standards we follow for certain incidents and reporting requirements that need to be, the pool needs to be notified right away on certain kinds of things. It might be good at some point to schedule a presentation to this board about the risk pool, our claims rate, our incident, our incident rate, so we can learn more about our insurance policies and the types of requirements that you have of us as well. I'm sure that Ken knows, but some of our biggest exposures on the insurance side of things. So it'd be nice to know where our limits are and where we're covered and when we're not.
Okay, great.
It'd be great. It doesn't have to be today or next month. Yeah. It can be sometimes when things are slow, not December.
Very good.
All right. One more comment of the general sort.
According to, and we'll get to the FTA, the federal government checking your guys' books before you get federal money. Most every grant agreement that I've read in the team comments, DOL certification, 2012 FTA visit, all of these things were done via attached documents. They were never viewed personally. The board is responsible, the governing board is responsible for setting policy by adopting a resolution. The last time those manuals have been updated, and believe me, they are plagued with a lot of stuff, was Resolution 8-12 by Mr. Hendricks and the prior board. So it definitely, the entire manual needs to be redone. I'm telling you that right now. It's not good. However, in accordance with US DOT, along with, you have the FEMSA, you guys fall under a lot of different policies.
Right.
Okay, a lot of different ones. Because you are a recipient of federal funds, you fall under the US DOT and ODPAC policies, which requires a drug-free environment, a drug-free workplace. All of these exempt people off of the drug testing is illegal. When's the last time a random urinalysis was done in this building? A long time. There's some issues there. However, that vehicle, a revenue vehicle, is considered a revenue vehicle any time it is driven. Doesn't matter.
Well,
coming or going.
I think-
It was a revenue vehicle, and anytime you're in a
I
revenue
think
vehicle.
we're going to continue this discussion outside the meeting. It's not something we can resolve if there's a difference of interpretation of the regulations. It's not something we can resolve.
I got interpretations right from US DOT.
Well,
How much you
we
want?
have-
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
point of order, this is supposed to be a comment period, not a discussion.
Yeah.
Okay, and if I can make one comment, the policies and procedures, and we've gone over this, I believe, last meeting and the meeting prior to that, we're in the middle of negotiating our first contract with the union, and policies and procedures are going to be affected by those negotiations and will be updated along with them.
Yeah.
And so this is, we've gone over this, rehashed it, that we can't change everything overnight.
Okay. Well, thank you. Sean?
I would just like to say that everyone in operations is required for random testing, everyone in the operations department. So there are no one that's exempt.
Okay, thank you.
Except hopefully your board.
We'll let you guys off.
Just kidding.
All right, well, on that lighter note, we need to move our agenda. We are going into an executive session to discuss our labor negotiations and the legal matter. And because of the content of that discussion, I'm sorry, Lance, we cannot allow.
Oh, I know I'm not welcome, but I do have some questions. I do have
Yes.
some questions.
Yes.
Is this board aware of the request for a proposal on assistance in collective bargaining? This?
Yes.
How did you become aware of this? I mean, how does this board, I don't see any prior discussion or need from the, well, perhaps you weren't here, but at the last meeting, you were. How do I find this out surreptitiously? I mean,
Noah,
how did this come about?
I asked for it.
How come I didn't know you asked for it?
Well, I didn't ask you to ask for it. I asked for it. I just asked for it.
This
I
is a-
said, I asked to see what we could do.
Why?
Well, because I feel very strongly that in negotiating contracts, it's important to have legal representation in the room.
Is it now? So,
So because you don't like it,
no,
doesn't
no,
mean
no,
that I
no,
can't ask
no,
for
it's
it.
not that I don't like it.
It sounds like
It's
you
how
don't
this
like
is done.
Well, I asked for it. I said, can we look into this? That's how it happened.
When, with this board present, you asked for it?
No, I asked for it in the hallway.
No, yeah. So we have no money, this agency right now, but you're willing to go out and possibly hire a consultant, which it could be an attorney, to pay for the assistant that staff needs to do a contract here. When, let me finish before you get ready to jump in here,
Well, I was just.
that there has been no
making a point about it.
contentious negotiations up to this point with the union whatsoever.
So if I use the same tone to talk to you, people would think there was contentious negotiations. So first of
No,
all,
no.
you can be upset, but you need to watch your tone.
Yeah, okay.
Second of all-
Change it from my tone to the discussion at
Second,
hand.
well, and so when you say it's not contentious, I think you need to understand that your tone plays into contentiousness.
You know,
Second of all,
to
I
change
work for-
this from tone to
Second-
issue here.
Okay, then I'll talk to you
Allow
about the
the board
issue.
member to continue.
Then I will talk to you about the issue, and I'll talk about it publicly.
No.
I mean, yeah, you asked me a question, I'm gonna answer.
I want to know why this was not brought before the entire board. If you and anyone else on this
It's
board
part of
is
contract.
operating behind the back of other people, it's illegal.
Well, then I will await my orange jail suit, sir.
Well, you know, see, you try to be
Here's the
serious and I
issue.
have to get this smart aleck reply.
First of
Would
all,
you
you
please-
are phenomenally offensive. Second of all, I owned the fact that I asked for it. Thirdly, I work at county government, where we have 7 unions. Are you gonna listen to me, or are you gonna pounce before I'm done?
Well, now you're getting an idea how I felt with your little,
So, I work for a county government where there are 7 unions. And there are things that appear to be insignificant in a contract that have very significant long-term ramifications. They can be simple things, but you brought up budget. The investment in ensuring that your contract protects management rights, which is important in cost control, in my opinion, down the road, is a fiscal impact. I don't think we should have to have any of these conversations in public as it relates to labor strategies. That's how it works. Once you decided to have a labor union, you created an us v them culture. Whether you like that or not,
Oh
that's the reality of it. So you go into, that's, welcome to union life. You know that as well as I know
Don't
that.
you dare say to me, I have 45 years in
Being a union
union life.
rep.
Don't you dare say
And
that.
I have experience on the management side, and I am telling you that it is important for management to also ensure that their rights are represented in the process. And we're negotiating our first contract. I represent the citizens of Island County, not just the workers of Island Transit. And it is important that their rights are respected as well. They have some, just as the employees have some, but so do the citizens. Everybody needs to bring their A game to the table to ensure the best contract possible. And if that offends you, I don't know who you've been dealing with the last 45 years.
Well, let me just say that if there is to be a contract, any contract will have board review and approval.
Right.
This is not a contract.
I understand that. What my concern is this. There have been negotiating sessions conducted since April. From what I understand from the union president that is here, is that these negotiations have been very professional on both sides. If the staff at Island Transit, the negotiators, and the union can continue to do productive negotiations, then why should this transit agency be obligated to hire somebody when we aren't at a crisis stage, at impasse, for example, hang on, let me finish, that would pay billable hours at no less, I can absolutely guarantee. You know, when you're talking while I'm talking,
Well,
that's rude, that's rude. So, let me finish.
I'll let
Such
my
as
parents know
bill-
I've been instructed by a new adult.
I swear to God, I am reaching back to some patience here.
Professionalism.
There's billable hours, and they will rack up at no less, I can guarantee, $150 an hour, no less than that, probably exceeding $200 an hour. And then we're going to pay for meals, for lodging, when sessions get into multiple days. This consultant is not going to be running off the island and then coming back. Well, if she does, we're going to be paying the travel and the lodging if they don't go home, and et cetera, and it goes on and on and on.
Well,
what you're proposing could possibly cost this agency in excess, well, perhaps in excess of $100,000, when there's a staff here that if you have no confidence that they can negotiate a contract until it reaches a point of impasse, then you're not showing any confidence in your own negotiators.
So I would also say to you that all of those negotiations happened without board knowledge. The board was not involved in any of those decisions. We have concerns about that, and we're taking some steps. So I'm sorry, but I don't know who empowered those negotiations.
Every session that you have had an executive session, I have been told, no, labor representatives, stay there. You're not coming in. Why? Because this has to do with labor negotiations, contract negotiations. So I don't know, did you not hear that when the attorneys were telling, no thanks, Lance, you're not welcome?
So I'm not the adult. I want you to go back and watch Gail's tape. Can you provide it with him to make sure that you understand, sir, how many times you've insulted me, called me names, been rude, been disrespectful, and I think when you listen back, you will realize that this temper tantrum is yours.
Let me tell you something. Perhaps if it was me, it's your attitude, okay, that sets me off, because you're smart and think you're smarter than every other person on this board.
I don't think that, actually.
Could we both?
I don't think that.
Well, I'll tell you, this to me is ridiculous at this time. And you talk about being responsible for the citizens of Island Transit and their monies.
No.
This is a waste right now.
I'm responsible for the citizens of Island County to ensure that they are well represented in a contract negotiation. If you think that's not my responsibility...
You got the rhetoric down, but your actions aren't showing it.
I appreciate your labor discomfort with my desire to protect management rights. It's well documented.
You got a question from the
It's not a public comment.
This is not an item on the agenda.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Where's the transparency? That's the problem. This is not like on the agenda.
Excuse me, point of order. This is not an open comment period. We're adjourning to executive session.
Yeah, of course we do.
Have Can't we approve
This
that
conversation
contract?
could have been had in executive
No.
session, thank you very much.
It could
But
have
you're
been,
not
but
gonna
your
include the
dad
labor
yelled at
rep.
me.
Oh,
So
stop.
once your
Yeah,
dad
you-
gets done
you
yelling
wouldn't invite
at
me.
Oh, pick up your toys and run away.
Public meeting when they were gonna do an RFP in the first place.
Right.
we haven't released an
Where's-
RFP.
where's
Why
the
don't you
date?
tell us?
It is
Check
now.
the website.
Look at your date, honey.
September 9th,
September
it's
9th
due.
is due. September 9th.
It is on Island Traffic's website under the hidden tab called procurement, no title on it.
How long? We were going to executive session for approximately 30 minutes.
Is there business afterwards?
There's no business scheduled to be adopted after the executive session. The agenda is-
You want to check on it
Talk about
real
risk
quick now?
management.
Okay,
Excuse me.
that's okay. Sorry to put you in a corner like that. That's your job. Yeah, sorry.
I have, for
Yeah.
library.
Yeah. We'll return at 12:15 unless we notify otherwise.
Yes. Back into your right. Oh, yeah, I'll come that way. Go on.
I only want to give it to Lance. I have a lot of comments on there.
Hi Jesse, how are you? Nice to see you. Jesse, this is Kay Ross.